Okay, so before the head bolts go in, I'm going to put some oil into those pockets where the washers for the head bolts will be going. I will put all head bolts in exactly the same spot as they were sitting in before. I've cleaned all the threads with compressed air, and all I'm going to do now, I'm just going to slightly dip it in oil on the installation. So head bolts are now in and snug, so now time for a torque wrench. And I'm going to go with 3 stages, 20 Newton meters first, I'm going to go 35 in second and 43, 44 in the last one. Obviously it needs to be done in sequence, and we're going to be starting with number 1 bolt being here on the intake side. So that's 20 Newton meters for that one. That's 20. Now the second one is going to be that one here. Okay, and the fourth one is this. Okay, so bolt number 5, intake one here. Okay, bolt number 6 here. Bolt number 7 here. Then we go to 8 here. Then the 9 is here at the front. 10 here at the back. Here and 12 here. Right, so next setting is going to go to 30 Newton meters. Now we've got this 10mm nut which needs to be tightened to 10 Newton meters. So I mean, I don't know how would you do this there because there's no space for torque wrench, so I'm just going to do it by hand. Right, so have a look. I've got all the shims arranged here and buckets, so they will be going in exactly same spot. So then there goes the shim, and it goes in with the numbers facing upwards. And then finally there goes the tappet with some oil on it and some oil around it as well. Here it goes. Same process for all of them, so actually I'll put the oil in all of them now. Right, there's oil.
A few moments later.
Right, so before I install the camshafts, I'm gonna lube up all the tappets here with this assembly lube. all the lobes and journals and that ring here on the camshaft nicely lubed up. Now this is, by the way, the exhaust camshaft. Okay. So firstly I'm just going to loosely put it in like that towards this way. Alright, to set up the timing, I'm going to have to reinstall this pickup coil. So just feeding this through. So that goes through here. Okay, and this rubber goes in like this. So you start from aligning this rotor by using 19mm wrench to align the T mark with that little line going up towards this pickup coil here. So now on this exhaust sprocket there's going to be arrows and numbers. So if you take a closer look, I'll actually magnify it now. There is an arrow here which you could probably see. This is arrow number 1 and it's got to be flush with the surface of the cylinder head on this exhaust camshaft. So you set it in that position. Then you put your intake camshaft in, and what you need to do is you need to put some tension on that chain here and count 13 of those pins, starting from the pin that is just above the arrow with the number 2 on the exhaust camshaft. So let's just magnify it. So as you can see, there is a number 2 here and an arrow, and that arrow will be indicating your pin number 1, and you now count 13 from that. So this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And that pin 13 here, let's again magnify it. So that pin number 13 here is where on the intake camshaft you have to have arrow number 3. So you see there's number 3 and an arrow. You need to have arrow number 3 indicating directly onto 13th pin counted from arrow number 2 on the exhaust camshaft. So with that setup, you can now bolt on your cam holders. Alright, so time to install the camshaft holders. So this is the front of the engine, the exhaust side, and here you're going to have camshaft holder B, this is A, here you're going to have C, and here you're going to have D. Okay, has it gone in? Yeah, it's gone in. Excellent. That is C, and once again just checking the dowel pins are all good. We've got the A. And that ring as well. And the dowel pins, there's one here and one here. Okay. So that goes in. I can just do it by hand. Only to a point where it grabs. Engages with threads. Okay then, so cam chain tensioner installation. So let's just disassemble it first. That big bolt comes off first. Inside there's going to be a spring. So what I do is I take the spring out and I pour just a tiny amount of oil in there. can tell you why I do this, because once I removed this tensioner and the oil came out of it, and then I reinstalled it, I had some terrible engine knocking, so now I tend to put some oil in there. Then the spring goes back on. Then we installed a new gasket. You can buy this for like £1 or £2. So gasket goes in here, as so. We need to retract this plunger, so you push on this and then the plunger goes in. Alright, so as you can see the plunger is in. So now it goes in. Alright, so I got those two snug just by hand, and now we put this in and it compresses the spring and pushes on the tensioner, and a few turns on that big bolt and we've got the tensioner installed. The big one is a 19mm. So once again we double check that we've got the T mark on the rotor pointing upwards. Then we go up here and we've got the number 1 arrow on the exhaust camshaft flush with the surface of the cylinder head. Number 2 arrow on the exhaust camshaft is pointing upwards, and then counting the pins in the chain, we get 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And on the intake cam we've got number 3 sprocket arrow pointing at that 13th pin, which is great. And the lobes on the right hand side of the engine of those camshafts are pointing away from each other. Right, so getting the starter motor installed, super mega quick job. I'm just going to put some oil on this O-ring here and also on that surface here. Yep, now it should slide in. There we go. Just 2 little bolts in here to secure it in place. Now it is always good to replace those washers there, so I'm gonna get off those old ones and install those lovely new ones. So here we have it. Boom and boom. And that goes in there. Okay, so let's put this clutch cover back on. So the service manual recommends putting some RTV where the crankcases meet. So here we have it here. And here. There we go. Cover's on. Timing is set correctly, valve clearances are set. So now what I'm going to do is I will replace this old and shitty oil filter, which is ugly and rusted. I've got a brand spanking new filter. It's a fresh motorcycle oil. This is 10W40 semi-synthetic. I'm going to put some oil in this filter there. Not much, just a bit. There we go. So when the seal contacts the filter housing, you want to do 1.5 or 2 full turns. So one full turn, and I'm going to do half more, and that'll do. Yeah, I've installed those 2 oil pipes, one here, and of course they need to be pointing outwards. And look at that, they're pointing outwards. Alright, so I'm going to now put the cover back on. Okay, so this alternator installs with just 3 bolts. There's 1 bolt here at the top, second bolt here, and there's a third one just on there. So literally put the bolts in and it's done. I have now fitted the valve cover. 5 minutes job, so I didn't film this because you all know how to do this. So now I'm gonna install those intake boots or rubbers. So that's the first one here, and as you can see we've got the old seal here, so let's pop it out. There we go, the new one. And I can tell literally by just touching it that it's protruding, which is great. There we go.